I'm Kate. Let's talk theater. Today we're going to be discussing Raining. On stage, specifically the tours of The Notebook and The Outsiders, we are going to speculate. We are going to guesstimate, and I am excited to see what the answer eventually becomes because what's a gimmick and what is important to the story? And when we're thinking about, I think, theater in general, it's getting dicey out there with digital backgrounds, projections, screens. Everybody's getting a little bit too excited about the use of technology. And we're also seeing a very dicey usage of AI. And so I'll be very curious to see how these two shows, The Notebook and The Outsiders, on tour, handle the famous rain scenes, because it's a really great, both of these shows are really great examples of using real set prop. I don't know what is rain. Set dressing? I don't know what you would quite call it. I don't know what category it falls into, but in a world of a lot of screens and projections, to see two shows, I think neighbors or nearly neighbors, having these big, beautiful moments, it was breathtaking to see them pull this off. Now, I will say, for me personally, I saw The Notebook several times on Broadway. I still have not seen The Outsiders, actually. Super behind on that. They sell so well. I have never seen it. They're pricey. And even though the rain scene is beautiful, the lyrics have me questioning things. And the fact that it's just like a bunch of dudes, there's a reason I kept seeing stuffs, right? So we'll get there eventually, whether it's tour or eventually making it to Broadway. But I'm curious to see, and we will know soon, will it rain? Can it rain? I think it's normal for a Broadway show to make some changes. Like when we're talking about tours, they are ultimately the same show. And I think that is important to keep in mind, just to sort of understand how it all works. But also because I find that sometimes people, especially people who don't really know about theater, kind of talk down tours. And really, it's the same show. Direction, set, costumes, and sometimes the same performers. And so that is important to keep in mind, that you're ultimately seeing the same show, but sometimes something is a little less possible. For instance, Hadestown, when it tours, there's the whole moment in Hadestown where they're going into the stage. Not every stage is going to be able to pull that off, so they do not do that on tour. They use more of like a garage door mechanism. I'm not going to lie, I saw the tour first and then have seen it on Broadway many times since. It hits different. And I hate to say that because the tours are incredible. And again, the tours are usually the same, but that is a beautiful thing when they go down. It's just a different effect entirely. Now, I will say they then became non-equity, and they don't even have the turntable anymore, which I haven't seen with my own eyes. I've heard a lot of people say that the choreography is adapted to the point where it's not super noticeable, but I digress. So, The Outsiders. We will have answers to whether or not it's raining September 17th. Its first stop is Buffalo, New York. And then The Notebook, September 6th. Its first stop is Cleveland, Ohio. I want to go. I'm nowhere near Cleveland. I live in southeastern Pennsylvania. As you all know, Philly is my touring destination. I shouldn't be going to Cleveland when I live on the whole other side of Pennsylvania that's very, very far from Cleveland. But I kind of want to go. I want to see the first Notebook tour. I want to see the first show. That's not reasonable. Will say, influence me in the comments below. Either way, I kind of want to go. If I don't go to that, I'm thinking about Connecticut. That's much more reasonable. Because it doesn't come to Philly until July. And if I don't see it in Connecticut, it basically just gets further and further away. And it becomes less and less reasonable to pull that off. But We will know soon. We will have answers in about a month. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, okay, a couple things. Back to the Future. Something we're seeing with Back to the Future is that it does different car flying from what I've read and understand. Haven't witnessed it with my own eyes yet. I saw it on Broadway, but it hasn't toured to me yet. I'm not sure if I'll go, and it hasn't, and I haven't gone to any other destinations. From my understanding, there are different car flying sequences based off of the theater that they're in due to like size and what they can pull off. So I would be curious to know that if it rains, will it kind of look like that? Will it be something where it kind of changes depending on where they're at and what they can pull off? Because a big thing, at least with the Notebook, is drainage. So they had a whole waterfront that they use quite a bit. So I do wonder, is that something that is like portable that they can essentially put into the pit of these theaters? And will it only be some theaters and not others? I know when they're coming to Philly, they're coming to the Academy of Music, there is a large orchestra pit there. And so that is something, in theory, like they will have the space for. Would it be able to fully then rain at the Academy if they put down maybe a cover over the stage that has that sandpapery texture, and then it can drain into something they add to the front? Maybe. But if they can't do that at other theaters, would they scrap it entirely for every show, or will there be flexibility? I'm wondering. Because then my question becomes, what if it doesn't rain? What if it doesn't rain in the Notebook or the Outsiders? Which, again, I can only speak to the Outsiders' Tony performance. I haven't seen it in person. What will that do to the show? Will that take away from a really incredible moment? I remember I went to the first preview of the Notebook, and when it first started raining, I was up in the mezz. You're seeing it, right? And then because there's also lighting going on in the back that's reflecting the water, right? So you're used to seeing movement, and then you start to see these drips coming down. And at first, it was sort of this like building moment where you're seeing it drip and you're like, oh, it's dripping into the lake. That's really smart. It's going to go right into the lake. They'll kind of maybe get a little bit wet, but they're not, like, it's going to be like an effect. Because we also don't know how long they're going to be in the rain, right? For all I know, the show's never, well, it was in Chicago, but for all I know, it's just going to come down, they're going to kiss and run off. We don't know. So it's just going, and then it's getting heavier, and then it's getting heavier, and they're jumping in it, and you're seeing, oh my god, it's collecting on the ground. They are soaked. It's everywhere, right? And that was incredible. It was a wow. People are clapping. People are gasping. And the Notebook is a very emotive musical, and people were just blown away every single time. And so what is lost in a moment like that if we turn to screens or lighting? I don't know. Would they put a scrim down? Like, I don't even want to think about it, because that would just be so ugly compared to actual rain. And again, in a world where we're getting, unfortunately, used to screens and lighting, especially screens, and just like digital rain, to have these shows where we had real, true water, apparently in The Outsiders, people are getting like splashed, to have that and then to potentially have that taken away, especially with the Notebook, because you can't see the other version. At least with The Outsiders, if it doesn't rain on tour and you are like, I gotta see this rain, you can still go and see it to the fullest extent, right? But the Notebook is gone. This is all we're gonna have, and it makes me so sad. I cry under my company poster. And so I will be very curious to see, because I just feel we're so blessed to have two shows genuinely make it rain on stage in an era of, I think then, down the road, quite down the road, I think it's on like 50th Street, Gatsby, Great Gatsby, not Gatsby, beautiful, Great Gatsby it is using a lot of screens. And I want to shout out The Great Gatsby for, like, one thing and one thing only. Their use of screens, the way they were able to mix the screens into the physical sets was great. Like, they did such a good job. I absolutely actually want to shout that show out for something. That was really cool. But they do, little pictures of rain. Be like, oh, it's raining, and they run away. Okay, right? Like, wow us. There are so few moments sometimes in a Broadway show where you can wow us in a way that's so simple yet so effective. I think of Kimberly Akimbo and the ice skating scene and how it's so effective, and it just took like that little bit of genius of like set design and understanding materials and just making something work. And then it's just so incredible to see, and it's so impactful, and you walk out of the theater thinking like, oh my god, how did they ice skate on stage with genuine ice skates? And I'm assuming that's something they're doing for the tour. I'm really hoping it is. I'm hoping that they put something down. Unsure if I'll be seeing Kimberly Akimbo on tour when it comes to me. Let me know if you guys have seen the tour, what you think. I saw it 3 times on Broadway. I did really enjoy it, but I'm wondering, is it time for me to go back? But yeah, I think we really need to appreciate those moments, and I will be very sad if these shows tour and we don't get them. Because my question to me and to you is, will it be as impactful? The big rain fight scene in The Outsiders is the thing people talk about, is the thing they highlighted on the Tonys, is the thing that in a Tony performance where I thought the lyrics were juvenile and ridiculous, I still got chills moments later during that scene because it looked incredible. And it's the thing that has made me want to eventually get there. And so, yeah, what do we do? What do we do? It is something, right, to think about. Like, touring destinations are always going to have limitations, but what becomes, important enough? What are elements that should essentially be prioritized? And I'm really hoping that we see some rain. I doubt it will be as heavy in The Notebook, but can we pull off something, right? Like, maybe we can't have the drainage that the Broadway house did. Can we get something? Can it still rain a bit, just right onto the sort of sandpapery flooring and call it a day? Because I do think it would be still really impactful, because it just, I don't know, those magic of theater moments are so important, and we shouldn't look at them and be like, oh, it's just a gimmick, it's not important. Like, done right, it's so important, it's so meaningful. So we will see. That is honestly why I'm tempted to go to Cleveland, for literally no other reason. I just kind of want to know as soon as possible and go, if not that first night, like early in the run. We will see. But yeah, but we have seen the flip side. Speaking of Company, it did rain in Company for at least 3-4 months. It was just a little bit of rain, and it did not work for them. They didn't have the capacity to do it in a way that wasn't messing with the stage and the equipment, and they ended up having to cut it, right? So we have seen that there are downsides to doing the rain effect, but not doing it right. And literally, this is in the same theater. This is in the Jacobs, right? So the Outsiders did it. Like, Company walked and stumbled so that the Outsiders in The Notebook could run and blow us away. So we do know that if they get it wrong in these other random theaters, like, it could cause some serious issues. We're dumping water onto equipment and wood, right? So we'd have to get it right. And so I do worry that there's a little bit of like a liability concern that would stop the show from wanting to do it. So it's ironic that both shows, not ironic, but both shows are doing it at the same time, right? So it's like to be seen. But maybe it also means that they'll be hitting some of the same houses and have it all figured out. And we can just have shows raining all the time in the future forever. So yeah. In a world of screens, I really hope to preserve moments like the big rain scenes in The Notebook and The Outsiders, and I hope that all across the US they get to experience the rain scenes to, if not the fullest extent, close to it. And I hope they don't pull a company and randomly cut it. It was an incredible thing to watch because Company, it rains at the end of Marry Me a little, and it doesn't rain, but there's still that cue for the rain. It just had completely different meanings that were equally as impactful for totally different reasons. So it was super interesting, right? But there was a metaphor to the rain. This is metaphor rain, which not to say, like, kind of all rain is, like, a little bit metaphor rain, but in The Outsiders in The Notebook, it's also just raining. So, would love to see it. So, that is my speculation, my guesstimation. I think it's impactful and worth it, and I hope to see it, and I hope we continue to see practical sets, props, special effects, if you will, continue to thrive on Broadway. And I think we just absolutely need to shout to the rafters how much we appreciate them, because we are getting to a point where we are in danger of screens on screens on screens on screens. And so here's hoping. I am so excited to see what happens with The Notebook and The Outsiders tour. I really hope we don't get, like, one of them does it and one of them doesn't. That will make me so upset. I will be so upset if, like, The Notebook, I have a lot writing on The Notebook tour, okay? So if they, like, don't do it and then I find out The Outsiders did it, we're gonna have a problem. So we will see. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you think it's super impactful? Do you not care if it rains or not? Have you never thought about this before? Do you know about the Company rain? I recently made a TikTok questioning the internet on what happened there and learned a little bit more about how it was just, like, ruining things and how they had to cut it. They obviously did not get it right, but we then saw shows who figured it out. So I am excited to see it. Are you seeing The Notebook or The Outsiders at your destination? What are you looking forward to? Let me know below. Like, share, subscribe, do the YouTube things for me so I can continue to build my theater community over here. And feel free to go over to TikTok and follow me over there. You'll see some content that I put over in the old shorts over here, but also some additional content over on TikTok as well. Thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate your time, and I will see you next time to talk more theater. Bye!